Greetings and salutations, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well today, and welcome to today's upload. Before we jump into it, a quick couple links. As many of you know, I rely on Patreon, PayPal, channel membership, and the merch to help the channel to continue to grow and go. Links to Patreon, PayPal, and channel membership is in the description below. Merch displayed directly under the video. Also, Dogman Frightening Encounters, Volume 1 through 3, the audiobook versions. They were written and researched by Tom Lyons, narrated and produced by me, Jeff Nadolny. Those audiobooks are available on Audible, Amazon, and iTunes, links to which are also in the description as well. And finally, last but definitely not least, if you'd really like to help support this channel to continue to grow and go, simply subscribe. It does not cost a cent. Click the like button, takes half a second. If you don't want to miss out on any of the informative uploads I put out daily, click that bell icon, and folks, please leave a comment and share the video. Why? Well, because all of these things really do help the channel to continue to grow and go. They definitely do matter and are appreciated. And with that, I have taken far too much of your time. Let's jump into today's upload, shall we? Very quickly, I love when subscribers send me gifts. It really does. It makes me feel like kind of unworthy, to be honest with you, because I don't think I am worthy of gifts. But I like to share it with you guys as like a token of my appreciation for that person sending me a gift. And a subscriber named Pups, or Bex, as you guys know her on the live stream and in the comment section, sent me a gift. And I love this because, and when I opened the package, it came on Sunday, and I opened the package and I immediately messaged her back and said, I love this. The word has 4 meanings that are completely awesome to me. And she sent me a shirt. She's from Utah, so she sent me a Moab shirt, and instantly Moab, Utah, Moab, mother of all bombs, Moab, the biblical location, and Moab, a biblical person. So Pups, thank you so much. I truly appreciate it. And I have a gift that I'm going to send to you as a token of my appreciation to you as well. I just want to thank you, because all of you that have sent me things, because it really does make me feel like I am worth something, but I still don't. Anyway, thank you, Pups. Now let's get into today's upload. A couple days ago, I had an opportunity to speak with a subscriber that I have not spoken to in a couple years. And when this person reached out to me, one, I was super excited because I have, like I said, I have not heard from them in years. Last I heard, they were having Dogmen sightings and experiences in their area, and they are a mushroom hunter or gatherer. And they were going out looking for mushrooms that last day that I spoke to the person. They had gone through some personal issues, but he had befriended a really cool older gentleman, and I was able to speak to Clarence, which that conversation connected so many dots for me. He watched the upload. He said it really brought a tear to his eye when he read subscriber comments too, because it was almost like his wife was with him. And for those of you who didn't hear it, he lived at the time, from the time he was in his early 20s till around almost 40, in Union County, New Mexico, and close to the Preston Monument, which is the Oklahoma, New Mexico, Colorado border, the Tri Point. And he had bought like a 60 acre ranch with his wife. They were high school sweethearts, best friends. He came from a very wealthy oil family out of Texas. And during his and his wife's life in Union County, a lot of weird things happened. And Union County falls within that scope or that radius of where I believe there is a deep underground city controlled by either dimensional aliens or aliens from outer space, whichever. I myself believe they are dimensional. I believe they quite possibly are from different planets, but use portals or wormholes to travel. And yes, I believe they can bring their ships through those wormholes or portals, but that is my own theory. And the location of where he is or was all falls into this really crazy place on the New Mexico-Colorado border. I'm looking at my map right now. You have Dulce, about 75 to 100 miles away. You have Taos and Los Alamos, all in this kind of area on top of Castilla County and a couple of other different counties where there have been some very unusual attacks. And interestingly enough, within the last year, there have been 2 attacks that don't make any sense, both in Colorado, one in Castilla County and the other one in Canales County. Both just kind of tossed up in the air. And what he said to me, and I'm going to get into some more information that he wanted to share, because I talked to him last night, and it was pretty heart-wrenching to talk to an 80-year-old man who has stuffed these emotions away. And he has seen things that in that short period of time, that 20-year span of living in New Mexico, he has never seen anything since where he lives. He did fly or move back to Texas for a little bit, and then he now lives in an undisclosed location. But he pointed out, and I keep looking at my map because the connections and puzzle pieces that I literally overlooked, like where the woman who just recently had been attacked, Cindy Denholm, which is a tragic, a mystery animal mauled a woman to death during a brutal attack. A coroner has now ruled Cindy Denholm, 68, was attacked at the Sangre de Cristo Ranch, a Colorado community near the New Mexico border, January 25th of this year. Now, I have talked about that, and I put the connection on the map. I was like, guys, it's right over the border. It's right where this fits. And what he said to me is there is a location in Colorado as well that there has been some sightings and other kind of strange things in the Sangre de Cristo Mountains, which is only only a hop, skip, and a jump as the crow flies. Not using the road. Use the road, you're traveling 54 minutes because obviously you have to go around. But these creatures do not use roads. If they have to travel on land, they're going to travel the fastest route, or if they are using underground tunnels or labyrinths, whatever, it's going to be even faster. It's only 15 miles of a different, pretty insane. And he said, I thought you were gonna talk about that, but you didn't. And it really just, I was kind of like, can't believe I missed that. And then the gentleman who was attacked is only one county over. And ironically enough, the Castilla County, Conejos County is almost right above Union County, New Mexico. So that right there was interesting. And another thing, I keep looking at the map again. Why? Because of something else he told me. Is he said we were talking, and I'm so thankful that Redneck has put me in touch with him and is a friend of his, because he would not have the ability only to just use a landline, and he does have a home computer, but he does not have a smartphone. So with that, I can see who I'm talking to. Clarence can look at the map with me. And he said, Jeff, have you put together that there is a triangle? Taos, Dulce, Los Alamos. It makes a triangle. Trinity. Tri-point. Trinity. Tri-point is where he and his wife saw dogmen they thought were coyote, or they actually thought they were just huge wolves, until they started to stand up and run bipedally, not towards or away from them, but in a different, running technically away from them, but not because they were there. There are so many connections, and biblically, the Trinity, I do believe that these alien creatures are demonic. 100%, especially after what happened to Clarence's wife. And for some reason, during exorcisms, like in the Father Malachi Martin book and other books that I've read, these demons enjoy to mock the Trinity and to mock God, Jesus, the Holy Spirit. So it only makes sense that these interesting kind of correlations, reptilians to these tri-points and triangles make sense to me. Maybe I'm off, but I don't know. I myself, in my own theories, don't believe I am. So Clarence wanted to share a little bit more. He had left some things out, and he also wanted to clear up one or two things. All right, so first thing is talking quickly about tri-point. When he and his wife were horseback riding, and if you hadn't seen the video, I do encourage you guys to check it out. It's the title is it attacked and killed my wife in New Mexico. But he and his wife had a beautiful 60-acre little ranch. Horses, they built this place together. And, it was everything that they wanted. Little barn, beautiful little house, a corral, and horses. And they would take their horses out and go riding. He would go to Texas periodically. His wife would go with him. And the day they were going towards the Tri-Point Monument, the Preston Monument, is when they saw the Dogmen. And I had told you guys how they spotted them. His wife had spotted them first. And she immediately thought they were coyote. And then they realized just how big they were. But interestingly enough, there was 3 of them. There was 3 dogmen running kind of south as they were going east. Just another, there are no coincidences in this field of study. In cryptozoology, it is a pseudoscience, and I truly believe the bizarre and high strangeness is a science as well that needs to be researched. And there are a lot of great people out there right now that are researching it. But there were 3 of them. Now, if you think about something, I was talking with him, and he brought up an interesting fact of when people have spotted these Dogman prints or other cryptid prints, yes, some look like elongated, kind of canine-like tracks, and this and that, or huge barefoot tracks. But there's those ones that have the 3 toes. Are those dogmen, or are those reptilian? Are they demonic? Because we've seen people have told us about how dogmen have these pod-like feet that are just elongated. But then there are the ones that have the 3 toes. Are they demons? I now believe they are. I believe it's just another way of these demonic creatures mocking us and mocking our beliefs in our God. Which is absolutely terrifying, So he immediately saw there were a couple comments that more than a few, made him tear up and think about his wife. But one really kind of affected him and made him actually break down. It said something along the lines of not fighting for your wife or something like that. And I don't know how it was meant, but he took it kind of like, I didn't fight for my wife. He's like, I immediately ran into my house. He goes, after that creature, I saw that creature pulling my wife out of her art studio that was attached to their barn. And right as it hissed at me, he had been walking up. It was enormous compared to him. He's, at the time, like 5'10", and this thing's 9 to 10 feet in height, reptilian, huge. It turned, looked at him, and hissed. Red eyes, a tail. He was walking towards it until it hissed, and he realized he was not any good to his wife if he did not get that rifle, which he did, and then immediately ran into the woods, called the police, and ran into the woods looking for this thing and his wife, and later found his wife decapitated, and they never found her head. ever. And, I said, listen, however it was meant, I right away knew, and anybody that heard that experience knew that you loved your wife. You guys were pretty much joined at the hip. You guys, when you left for work to go to Texas on board meetings and stuff, she would go with you. She always accompanied you. She was never left alone. Anytime, anything happened, you were always there for her. You created this beautiful ranch with her, an art studio for her. So there really is no reason to feel the way you did. And I don't believe they meant it in any way. I think maybe they meant it. I'm not fighting for my wife. I don't know. You did what anybody else would do, pretty much. If something like that occurred to me or happened to me, I would immediately be going for my firearm, because what am I going to do? I'm not any match for that. Another question was, did they have children? No. And here's the thing. At one point, she did get pregnant while living out in Union County. And while pregnant was when they saw that huge kind of light with no scorched earth behind their home as they were pulling up. They were coming from doing some errands or whatnot, and they were pulling into their driveway on a long, desolate road, and they thought their house was on fire. But it was this just enormous light, which he now believes either could have been an enormous portal opening or a UFO, whatnot. But she had been a couple months pregnant at that point. And after that event, they had gone out and looked around the next day in that area. And she miscarried and was never able to have children from that point on. So he believes that whatever kind of powers or energy was in that area was so evil and demonic that it took their ability of having children and bringing in a life of God into this world. So those were the two questions that really stuck out for him. Other than that, he really just felt like his wife was with him after reading a lot of the comments, because it was just so powerful. Also, he had never heard anyone share his experience. There had been one night that they had gone horseback riding, and they had gone south of their ranch. They had planned on getting home a lot earlier than when they did, but they ended up having to ride at night, almost about an hour at night. Thank God he had brought a flashlight, but we're talking, late 70s flashlights, so they weren't that great, and they had it on. He had it on. He always had his rifle with him, and I said, what did you have? What was your rifle of choice? And he said, well, a Henry 4570 Government, of course. What else would it be? So all right, buddy, you got me there, and I agree. What else would it be? I mean, that's right there is enough bang for the buck, and that is definitely security. So, but they had been horseback riding on their way home. They had found this kind of pocket of water, and spent far too much time sitting there. And on their way home, the sky was this beautiful, pinkish, purplish color. But in front of them, towards their home, was almost like a huge storm was brewing. And when it stopped, when that purplish pink color eventually turned into night, is when they started to see all of these eyes in the distance, these whitish, kind of yellowish eyes. And he said that the sounds that these things were making did not seem like it should be coming from any known animal in the United States. He said it was almost like, and it felt like, and he had spoken to his wife after this the night when they got home, and he had brought it up to her. And she said, I was thinking the same thing. He said it seemed like we were not in New Mexico, in that high desert area, but almost in kind of like the African, plateau or whatever, where he said the sounds were so similar to a hyena that it was like they were just in the African bush. And it was almost like they had, when they had got home, when they had got to their barn and put their horses away, fed them, watered them, took care of them, and went back into the house and started to settle down and relax. He had said, it was really weird because on the way home, after it really started to get dark and we started to see those eyes and the sounds, he said it almost was like we were transported to somewhere else rather than being in New Mexico. It was almost like we were in Africa, in the African bush. I know Australia bush, but Africa because the hyenas, And he said it felt so realistic that his wife felt that same feeling as well. And that these sounds that these creatures were making sounded just like hyenas. I said that I have a video a subscriber from Georgia had sent me, and they were having a bonfire in their backyard. Husband and wife and a few friends. You could hear them talking. They had heard some strange kind of yelps prior to, and that's how the wife ended up having it recorded. But what it sounded like was not like any animal in Georgia. It didn't sound like they were in like the deep woods of Georgia. It sounded just like they were in some kind of tropical jungle. The sounds that were coming out of those woods was like they didn't belong in the United States. And the night that creature had attacked his wife, he wanted to talk a little bit more about what had happened. So when he ran, when he had run out of his house, he did not think about getting his rifle. He thought, quite possibly there had been a wild animal in their property, a coyote or whatnot, and he could spook it off. When he saw the shadow come out of the studio, the art studio that his wife had, he had realized just how big this thing was. And it was seconds that passed when he realized that it was dragging his wife. When it turned to look at him, because of the lights from the house and the barn, and they had a pole light closer to the opposite end of the corralled area, he could see the glowing of its eyes. He could see rows of almost needle-like teeth. They weren't small like needles, but they resembled almost like hypodermic needles, but very thick, maybe the thickness of a pen or a pencil, in rows of them. And its size was just so huge. He thought, at very first, he thought it was a human, because he thought how big its shoulders were and the way its body was shaped as it was walking out into the open area to go towards the grove of pines and such, that he thought it was someone wearing almost like a duster jacket. And then that's when he saw everything, realized that is not a duster jacket. That's how its body is shaped, with its tail and everything. There was no consumption on the body either. It was just decapitated with no surgical implement. It was just ripped off, which is really, really sad. So we start talking, this conversation was about an hour and 20 minutes, but I told you about the key point of the Castilla County, and where the Sangre de Cristo ranch, where the woman had been attacked. Now, the Sangre de Cristo, the mountains go right into New Mexico. The correlation of that is where those mountains stop is right in that vicinity. It almost right above where this underground city would be. Just like Archuleta Mesa in New Mexico, in Colorado. Sangre de Cristo, the meaning of that, going back to the biblical threes, means the blood of Christ. Ironically enough, the correlation and coincidences are not just something, to you can look over. You can't look and hear about this and not think, or I can't at least. So with those red eyes of that creature, he had actually forgotten to talk to me about this one thing. When he saw those eyes, he was brought back to a night that, like I said, his wife was very artistic and she threw pottery, welded, whatever. She was very painted, very artistic person. So they would go to Taos. There's an artistic community there, and they met friends through that community and such. They had been coming home one night, and this is like 15 years. They had been living there maybe 5-6 years. So 15 years prior to him losing his wife the night. And they are driving up into their property. They had a barn, but they did not have a garage. So they would park their vehicles. He would park his truck over by the barn, pretty close to where her entrance to the studio would be. And she would park her vehicle right close to their front porch. They had been in his truck that day, and they're pulling in. And he remembered the eyes because 15 years ago, he had seen those eyes before. They pull into their driveway, and he's getting ready to turn in and park. And just opposite, or at the end of where the barn and her studio is, you can see part of their corral for their horses. And they pull in, turn the lights off, turn the truck off, and see these two red glowing eyes staring at them off in the distance. And at first he was trying to figure out what they're looking at, because they hadn't seen anything. They've had weird and strange things happen, but nothing to this extreme. This is prior to their horseback ride, and prior to that big ball of light. And he's thinking, maybe it's my back lights, my brake lights of my truck reflecting on something. So he pushes his brakes in and takes his foot off the brake, and they don't disappear. They're still staring straight at them. And he's got no firearm with him. He gets out of the truck and walks around the truck and lets his wife out. And they're walking to their house, and she's already noticed the eyes as well. And she's spooked and thinking about the horses. She tells him, I don't feel comfortable with you going out by yourself. Get your rifle and I'll carry a flashlight. So at least we'll be together, and we can, if you don't see it, maybe I will. And if I don't see it, you will. So, but as they're walking in, he keeps peering over his shoulder, and so does she. And they get to their porch, and this is before they had the pole light installed at the other end of their corral. They have a barn light, and they have their house light. So there is light, but not a lot. And that pole light was positioned strategically so there would be light in this area, where they did their most walking back and forth to the house, to the studio, to the house, to the barn. to get on the porch, and they turn, and those eyes are right at the front, the nose of his truck, just watching them. And she unlocks the door quickly, goes in. He's entering into the house. He's got like 1 foot out of the house, 1 foot in the house, and there is just this blood-curdling screech, just high-pitched, unable to compare it to. There is no comparison to what that noise was that night. He turns to look, and the eyes are, his wife runs into his den, comes back out with his rifle and hands it to him. He turns to take a shot. He raises his rifle, and he's got his bead right on it. And within seconds, those eyes are gone. There's no bright light. There's nothing. The eyes are gone. He and his wife walk up to where they were last seen and shine the flashlight on the ground, and there is nothing there. There's no tracks. There's absolutely no sign of, anything being there. But that was when he saw that creature that night with those eyes, he was immediately brought back to that night. And that's when he knew he had to get his rifle and figure out how to get his wife from the grasps of that creature. So it's a tragic, tragic story. And Clarence is just a super nice guy. Actually, since I met him, I've been praying for him and praying for his health. And hopefully he hears this and knows how much I appreciate talking with him. So thank you, Clarence. So, with all that information Clarence shared with us, and I just thought of this too. This is crazy. Clarence was talking about bringing up the Trinity and such with me, with the tri-point, the 3 Dogmen, and the 3 pinpoints of Dulce, Taos, and Los Alamos. Bing, bing, make the triangle. The 3 toad creatures. But when I was talking about his lights and where in correlation they would be to each other, makes a triangle. 3 lights. Coincidence? That probably is. But holy shit. Pretty crazy. But the Native Americans within all of those regions, and I think another reason why I'm not surprised about Robert and his son JR having that, where JR had that experience in Silver City or in the Gila forest with the crawlers attacking that Dogman. Native Americans knew of these creatures well before the Europeans even stepped foot onto this country. And right from Navajo, Zuni, Pueblo, Hopi, and even the Apache. So in the American Southwest, there is evidence of what appears to be modern-day descriptions of a reptilian alien race. The majestic mesas and rugged mountains of the American Southwest are home to many native people, including the Navajo, the Zuni, Pueblo, Hopi, and Apache. These tribes have many different beliefs, but their creation myths all share something quite remarkable. All of them share the belief that they came up from the ground. The Apache and Pueblo Indian, the Zuni and the Hopi have a legend that they emerged from some underground world in today's world, and some of the southwestern people went back underground for safety. The Hopi of Arizona say their ancestors escaped a deadly storm of falling stars with the help of the snake people, who took them to the shelters deep within the earth. Today, we know of other Hopi legend that speak of ant people who protected them from storms of fire and ice. The Hopi survived cataclysms by living in this underground world with those people for a certain period of time, and then eventually they emerged from the underground world back into the surface. Today, the shamans and the elders of the Native Americans will tell you that before these people were able to emerge out of planet Earth, they were brought here by the star people, these star gods, which, according to them in their beliefs, arrived from outer space. For decades, stories of encounters with UFO and alien beings have been told among the people of New Mexico, the Hakarla Apache Reservation near the town of Dulce, where there is an alleged underground facility where aliens and humans work on several projects together, nestled in the shadow of over 9,000 foot high Archuleta Mesa. It is from this mesa and mountain that people claim to have seen UFOs flying out of the mountain, and even today, New Mexico is one of the places where most UFO sightings occur. There is no doubt that there is something in this part of our planet that attracts these extraterrestrial visitors. Some of these aliens in these stories bear a strange resemblance to the ancient tales of the ant-like and snake-like beings of the Hopi legend, and have a great resemblance to today's description of a reptilian alien race. One thing that is strange, for sure, is the amount of military traffic over at Dulce. The unmarked black helicopters, the heavy-duty Chinooks, all of them spend a lot of time in Dulce than they should if nothing is going on there. So yeah, they are here for a reason, and that much military activity is not normal. Now, out of those 5 or 6 Native American tribes, one sticks out where how they talked about some of those Native American tribes were led underground to the snake people, the reptilians. Now, the ant people, they don't look like insects. They're another term of reptilian because they live underground, because they have tunnels underground, cities underground. That's why they are called the ant people. Now, one race or one nation of Pueblo would be the Anasazi. And they did disappear. The whole race of ancient Pueblo disappeared underground. Why do they build up now or back then is, I believe, to stay away from underground. I believe that they were being hunted. So let's build up instead of, and we can take our ladders up with us, and these things can't get us while we're up high. It's pretty insane. It's sad and it's tragic. A whole race of Native Americans just gone. But yet, are they? Or are they living with these greys, with these reptilians? Or are they enslaved? Like the countless missing people year after year after year. So with that, I'd like to thank you all for supporting this channel. It is your support, after all, that helps the channel to continue to grow and go, and what gives us all a place and a chance to share our experiences and theories judgment-free. Everyone is simply treated with the respect that we deserve. Please stay safe, happy, healthy, and ever vigilant, keeping an eye on our children, pets, family, and our friends. These creatures are real. These events have happened. Share this information with those you love and care about, and it may just help save their lives someday. Until next time, never stop asking questions, never stop searching for the truth, and God bless you all.